Welcome, race fans, back to Project Racing's Tardis Cup for 2025. We are entering the penultimate round of our fabulous GT3 Championship here. My name is Webbo, very pleased to be back with you once again, and we can congratulate Tango for winning the title outright already. So no surprises to any keen viewers of the Project Racing's Tardis Cup this year, and for the last several seasons on the bounce, Tango is so far completely unbeatable. I think we probably need to look at some way of slowing him down with ballast or something because this dominance is absolutely sublime. Here he is then on 209 points so far, scoring 26 from round 8. Taffy Dog and Cool Breeze, the Western Sydney Racing drivers, find themselves tied on points, and I can reveal to you that the team boss of Western Sydney Racing has confirmed that they are free to race out there, and they are able to continue to race. There'll be no team orders in the final 2 rounds of the season, so may the best driver win on the decision between the 2 Western Sydney Racing drivers. The noticer is currently lying in 4th place, with Crammy in 5th. We've got Tomac Terra in 6th place. Aruthra rejoined us and scored 12 points in his return to racing at the round 8 in Suzuka, and he's on 37, tied with newcomer Shin, who scored 6. Chaos, the newest member of our racing league, then also managed to score 18 points on his debut last race, so it's going to be absolutely thrilling to see how our drivers compete here. We are at excuse me, still don't seem to have been able to shed this mild but persistent cough that I've had this summer, UK summer anyway. I know you guys celebrate winter right now over in Australia. In trackside in Sardegna for the Road Track A configuration with all the windmills and solar farms. Sardegna is the scene for today's race. I can see that Shin has added a new livery, which is awesome. I think I can just about make out AFC Richmond on the hood there, on the bonnet. It looks a little bit like the Jedi symbol, I think, but AFC Richmond, I'm assuming that's Aussie footy there, with far more prominent display of Alpine stars and a little sign on the rear window as well. We'll get into that, of course, later on. But qualifying 9th is Shin in the BMW, and going stealth mode here with the BMW. The only way you can hide that massive grille on the front of the car is to paint the front end of the car black, matte black, and she's done exactly that. The noticer in the Mercedes AMG GT3, then he starts in P8, and we have we have Redline Syndicate Racing's Tarmac Terror in the 7th position. Crammy in the Mercedes, then in the light blue AMG, he starts in 6th place. They did struggle. Excuse me. They did struggle last race out with the handling. I think this race will be a little bit more straightforward for the AMG. Only one very twisty technical section of this racetrack. Most of the track is what we call start and stop. Aruthra starts here in his 5th position with the black hood and white, and a "Don't Panic" message on the back. I don't know if that is a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which was the quote for the slogan for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was "Don't Panic," but that we shall see. All pink but black base then. For the Western Sydney Racing driver Cool Breeze. They really are branching out into new ways. I think it's got Sienna written on the windshield stripe there, and I think also reference to Barbie. So I think going black and pink, possibly for a female member of family or friends, in honor of them. So I think that's probably what's happening for Cool Breeze. We've got a blue and yellow livery for the with prominent Michelin sponsorship here, with a matte blue, very French in honour of the tyre manufacturer. I don't believe Michelin have stopped making tyres, but it says 2014 to 2022 on the front there. Yeah, Michelin, very good road performance car tyre as well. The Pilot Sports, one of my favourites. Then we've got the black and I'll be kind and say gold for Taffy Dog. So Western Sydney Racing definitely going dark here. And you can see the slight modification of the normal patterns between the two cars. It's clearly a sign, I think, that our drivers are branching out on their own here for Western Sydney Racing. No more team unity with the purple, red, and white. We're going into our in an adversarial era. And Tango in his customary starting position on the pole position for the number 3 Ferrari. Look out for those Ferraris. They tend to start very well. We have 40 laps around this fabulous Sardegna circuit. I'm just going to check with my notes here. We have the medium and hard tyres as our tyre allocation today. So we will probably see slightly fewer pit stops than we have done in recent times. We're ready for the race. I hope you're ready to enjoy this round 9, the penultimate round of the Tardis Cup. 5 red lights are on, and it's dropped the clutch, and go, Taffy Dog away, almost at the same pace as the Ferrari in front as Arutha comes up on the outside line. We've got a difficult left-hander coming up as Arutha gets into the back of Tango, and the noticer manages to have a problem before he even gets into turn 1. Let's see what happened from his perspective as we attempt for a moment to go 4 wide down into the corner. We've got the noticer out on the grass, dirtying his tyres, braking too late, trying to turn as the speed is coming off, and unfortunately it is not happening. Tango got a little tag from the back. It looks like amazingly Cool Breeze has made it through that melee, and also seems like Taffy Dog has had a problem as a result of potentially a little bit of contact into that turn 1. Here he is being pushed out wide by Tango. Taffy right out on the gravel, and he will not be feeling very generous about that manoeuvre there from our all-conquering new champion here for Tango, and that's not the kind of champion-style driving that we're looking for, I think you have to say. Tango leads then out away from the first sector, ahead of Cool Breeze. We've got Arutha out there with a penalty for contact, I believe, and Chaos slotting into 4th place. Tarmac Terror running very wide, and there's only Armco on the outside of turn 6 there, and that is problematic for him. So he may be a little bit at risk, but he's on the hard tyre, struggling right now. Starting on that hard tyre on a full tank of fuel feels like driving on ice. Believe, says the back of Shinskan. She believes she can find a gap in towards turn 9. I'm not sure there was quite a car's width on the way through there, but she has made it through, given that Tarmac Terror was having some difficulties early doors, and also having difficulties appears to be Chaos with a big snap on the exit of the snake section here, the technical section I was talking about earlier. Big slide going in, contact with the barrier on the right, contact on the left, and that is damage to both front suspension arrangements there as Taffy Dog looks to take advantage. Through comes Tarmac Terror, and everybody just carries on as if he didn't just outbrake himself and everybody else and hit the straw bales on the exit, causing some damage. Here is Cool Breeze though, tackling Tango as a little bit of retribution perhaps for his teammates' treatment here into this turn 1. Tango, is he going to do exactly what he did to Taffy Dog? Yes, indeed, taking absolutely no prisoners, and that's the champion's mentality. He's on the hard tyres. He doesn't want to yield position here to a driver on that softer compound of tyre with the grippier surface, and Cool Breeze looking somewhat impatient, you have to say, and right he is about that in the Barbie colour scheme. It's not easy being pink, and as one of my favourite wrestlers as a kid, Bret the Hitman Hart, used to say, it takes a real man to wear pink. It's Tango in P1. It is Cool Breeze in P2, chasing hard. Arutha has the Lamborghini in the Michelin celebratory livery here. trying to get hold of him there. There's Chaos looking a little bit loose, a little bit frantic, and looking like he's a teammate of Crammy, but that is not the case. We've got Tarmac Terror again. Tarmac Terror. Well, he's wearing a penalty. That was a Ruthra who has got himself boxed into trouble, into a great deal of difficulty coming through this corner. This is the scene of a previous accident on the recent lap, and then he is just bish, bash, and bosh. And Taffy Dog cannot find a way through. Wow, that's a huge problem then, and Aruthra just compounds matters by tagging the back of the car. Turning left into the French roadway surface and circuit here. We have as we change position. Of course, it is a difficult section of the racetrack that the drivers are having to contend with. And out there you go, down the start-finish line. Tango with the fastest lap so far. Chaos, sorry, with the fastest lap at that moment. Chaos just stole it though, a 1:37.1. He's on the medium tyres and he has gapped Crammy like crazy on that lap, thanks in no small part to Aruthra essentially causing a huge roadblock. There goes Shin. She's just put those two wheels out onto the gravel, just like Tango, just like Aruthra have done, going through that turn one, and as Taffy Dog had done earlier on, thanks to being shuffled out there. And it does look like riding the curbs is rather difficult for Tarmac Terror at the moment. The Ferrari looking quite stiffly sprung, quite challenging through the out of the turn 7 in towards the slight kink of turn 8. The two leaders go side by side. It looks like Coolbreeze has the inside line. He yields that inside line, and he will regret that because Tango has gone side by side with him once again, and they're shuffling him right out to the Armco barrier. And I have to say, I'm not quite sure what is happening here with Tango's driving. He's gone diving down the inside, then he's decided to just put the complete squeeze on, even though you have to say that Coolbreeze was fully alongside at the apex and the exit. And I would imagine Coolbreeze is losing his cool now as they come through, as he was about to be shuffled directly into the Armco barrier. We do enjoy fairly lax rules here at Project Racing, but that was taking a little bit the mickey, I think, too much. So Tango looking like he is not going to yield to anybody today, even though they're on a different strategy. He knows that his race is best served by keeping the medium runners behind him while he is stuck out there on the hard tyres. But Coolbreeze has made his way through. Coolbreeze has made his way through, and how did he get that done? Wow, going all the way long and round, and I think Tango may have had to just duck out of the throttle there to stop having an accident. That was incredible from Coolbreeze right around the outside. I think it's so good I want to see it a third time. What happened here then, as he just basically maximizes the exit of the previous corner. Tango left to just rue on that one and think, wow, that was a brave maneuver. Is Coolbreeze going to end up leaving the inside line open? He's already got far enough ahead here of Tango. There's a great camber into turns 1 and 2, and then the turn 3 tends to be off camber, spits you out onto the exit. Now Chaos is queuing up behind Tango, and let's see if Tango has the same treatment for Chaos, our newcomer, as he has done for the Western Sydney racing drivers so far. There's a little bit of beef, it seems, developing between the two. I don't know if in Oz you would prefer the term needle. Under the shadow of the church at turn 6, maybe we'll just call it Église corner, shall we? And running through then turn 7 and through 8. Under the windmills, there is a solar farm nearby here on the track as well. I'm waiting to see what Chaos can do. He shapes to the outside here. Is that a feign move that he's going to go to the inside? And Tango, that is a very unusual situation. Tango making the slightest little error in the braking zone, running out of grip on the big braking zone in towards turn 9, but still getting a personal best sector on these hard tyres, just bringing them into temperature. And there we go then. We've got superior grip on the traction zone on the way through. Then we come through the penultimate corner, the big stop then prior to the main straightaway here, and they can go virtually full throttle through the final quarter. They will just have a little lift there as they're battling, but on the medium tyres I expect we can probably upshift to control the car rather than lift off the throttle, and Tango is making that Ferrari as wide as he possibly can. He's making sure that Chaos is going to sit himself on the outside of the corner, and we'll see if we can do a Oscar Piastri at Miami situation in that regard. Tango then looking to the inside, Chaos looking to the inside and outside, dives to the outside of this switchback chicane here in turns 4 and 5, but he can't find his way through. What's happening further back here? Don't want to take my eyes off the battle for the podium, but this is insane. We've got the Noticer, we've got Crammy, we've got Taffy Dog and Aruthra. Everyone's just wall riding around the outside. Shin slots back through again. Taffy Dog right at the back once again on those medium tyres, and is needing to try and battle with his teammate who's on the same strategy and is way out in front right now. Tango slowing himself and Chaos right down as Chaos goes to the outside through the switchback S's section, and he comes back through. Chaos has the tail just ahead of Tango, and it looks like that rear end of the Lamborghini is loose but catchable at this current point. Tango looking for a late braking maneuver into the junction, into the road junction, through that penultimate corner, and Chaos is through ahead of Tango as we looked back to see what Chaos we can see further back. Shin up to P6 from the very back of the grid here at the moment, and on the hard tyres in that BMW, looking very good out there right now in the matte black, although all the scratches are going to show up there. We've got some scratches on the front right of the car. Aruthra diving to the inside against his similar car driving Mercedes AMG driver in the glitter colour change Noticer. He goes out onto the gravel as he's dealt with in no short order by both AMGs, especially Crammy though. And once again, Shin just waits for opportunity and manages to slot straight back through. Your order on the lap 6 of 40: Coolbreeze, Chaos, Tango, Aruthra, Crammy, Shin, Taffy Dog, and the Noticer. With, I'm assuming, we'll have Tarmac Terror right at the back of this one. Yes, indeed, but very much a close field, as I can see Chaos on the track map just drifting, just inching away from Tango, who's struggling, I have to say, on the hard tyres in the Ferrari at this French street circuit. Part street, part permanent racetrack, fully fictional, of course, as the Taffy Dog goes down the inside of Shin. These drivers are just going to slot around. They're going to swap places throughout the course of the race. If the last few races are anything to go by, the midfield here in Project Racing is insanely competitive. We got Crammy down the inside of Aruthra. We're just trying to turn in here, even though there is a very bright blue Mercedes nose already at the stop sign into the penultimate corner. Just a little feather of the throttle seemingly in 4th gear here for the drivers as they come through full of fuel. There is Taffy Dog with Shin back down to 9th. Tarmac Terror moving up a couple of positions. Everybody back here on the hard tyres with the exception of Taffy Dog, and there goes Tarmac Terror, losing that braking zone once again, covering the racetrack in gravel, and his rivals here are not going to thank him for that. Taffy Dog to the inside of Shin, in towards turn 4 right now, and they'll go side by side, and he tries to turn in, doesn't leave the space on the inside, and what do we always say all the time? You have to leave the space. Heading down towards the Église corner, and Crammy is ahead of the Noticer right now. It's Mercedes 4, 5, 6, and then we're back to a Porsche of Taffy Dog before seeing the BMW and the Ferrari challenging each other. This is for final position at the moment. Tarmac Terror and Shin going door to door, clashing on the way into the corner. Who's got the braking zone right? Oh, it looks like they're going to happen upon a huge yellow flag situation in front of them, as it looked, and I think Aruthra got way out of shape through there. What happened to Aruthra? I think we're going to need to come back a bit further to see exactly what just went down. He had a good gap, so he's obviously braked a little bit earlier here than Crammy, who flashes the lights, gripping the controller very hard indeed. There is Aruthra just getting tapped around, and he won't be best pleased with that one. Absolutely crazy scenes here on just lap 7 of the 40. There is the noticer getting absolutely slammed into the barrier as he tries to navigate positions, and Arutha just takes Tarmac Terror's nose completely off on the way through the corner. Lots of blind turns though here in Sardegna. Full sideways slides going on out of the penultimate corner, and this track, Sardegna, delivering ridiculous amounts of driver mistakes so far. It is as it was at the front, Coolbury's Chaos Tango, but the front two have yet to pit. Taffy Dog finally gets himself some clean air on that Porsche front splitter and gets the car turned neatly into the next corner, as he had a Mercedes accelerating much longer into the corner, but thankfully both made it through cleanly, heading into the turn 4-5 chicane now. And it is Taffy ahead of the 3 Mercedes, ahead of the BMW, and then the Ferrari at the tail of the grid. Redline Syndicate currently running 3rd and 9th at the moment. That's not a great provisional result for them, but lots of tyre marbles to be created before we get to the end of this race. Arutha has the noticer right with him as we look for some traction, some grip on the way and the approach into turn 9 at the northeast end of this circuit, and turning in around the hay bales we go. Hay bales are there all year long, all year round. There's no seasonality here in Gran Turismo, which I would like to see. We got the noticer then, who's glittering in the sunshine. That's Shin having a look down into the corner and finding a way to draw alongside mid-corner. I think partly because of the difference between the two cars in performance and cornering ability. You can run very wide on the way through that final corner, and then we've got Crammy and the noticer going side by side. Once again, Taffy Dog cannot seem to gap these drivers, despite the fact that he's on the medium tyre, and he's looking for the chance then to put in some hot laps. But I think partly it is the weak boost we have on the grid that's keeping these midfield runners all together. There goes Crammy once again down the inside. That was well controlled until it wasn't, and we hit the barrier on the exit of the corner, heading up towards Église corner, turn 6, on this 9th lap. And we're wearing through the tyres. Shin keeping in the mix here on the hard tyres, looking good out there, I have to say, in her new livery, and I appreciate her adding a new livery to the pile. Always fun. Get rid of that default blue and white BMW. She's been able to find some time to get into the paint shop, but although she couldn't get into the apex of the corner as Crammy elbows his way through, but as I say, we don't mind a little bit of rubbing and paint trading in this league in Project Racing. Probably the most muscular of racing rules that I commentate over, and I'm slowly getting used to it. But the drivers seemingly not big on complaining. Tarmac Terror comes through out of the penultimate corner and nerfs into the barrier, unfortunately with traction oversteer. And let's check on Coolbreeze, who is out in front, playing it cool, looking to add an extra gold star onto the back of his car. He's got one feature race win so far this season, doing whatever he can. Tango looks like he has found his way back through past Chaos. That was a fair while ago, unfortunately. So I think we've missed that one in the replay. But Tango, as his hard tyres are in better shape now than Chaos, who's struggling on the front right a little bit, but may have been off circuit. He hasn't hit the barrier. He hasn't got lasting damage on the car. That last lap was a 38.9 from Chaos versus a 37.3 for Tango. And now the race is coming back to our all-conquering champion and multi-race winner. I can't even count the amount of stars he's got on the side of the car right now. I think it might be 6 out of the 9 races. 6 out of the 8 races that have been completed in the feature races. So it's Coolbreeze Tango Chaos, but Coolbreeze has a really nice lead out there. Taffy Dog, who is vying with his teammate Cool Breeze, through into the barrier, Shin into the barrier, that corner, and Crammy into the barrier. That penultimate corner here is big trouble. Sorry, it's the end of the snake. We were just going through the penultimate corner. So yeah, through the S's, the last corner in the S's, causing untold difficulty as our drivers slide through. Taffy Dog into the pit lane at the end of lap 10, the first of our scheduled stops. Wants to get that out of the way as soon as possible. No damage on the car to repair, but so very early, and I don't know if he's going to try and do 30 laps on the hard tyre and do a one-stop. Taffy generally goes for a two-stop strategy, however, so we will see. As the fuel will burn off, the medium tyre stint will grow in lap count and efficacy. But right now, it looks like the track and the race is coming to those hard tyre starters. That would include Tango and Shin here, and also Tarmac Terror. I think that's everybody. Yes, another set of mediums for Taffy Dog. So he's come out. He's, I think, probably committing there to a two-stopper. I think 30 laps would be a stretch to try and do on one set of hard tyres. So committing to that, I think we might see the hards run for maybe 25, and the drivers target lap 15 for the mediums. But it does look like we are suffering a fair amount of additional tyre deg today than we were perhaps expecting. Shin dives down the inside, and a typically clean move from Shin there. When other drivers aren't smashing her around, she really does put in some very, very pretty overtakes, and I like that. I like to see that. I really do. The noticer heads in. Shin then on the hard tyres as the gaps start to open slightly in this battle pack for the first time in our 12 laps of running. I'm assuming Believe on the rear window is a reference to her Richmond Aussie Football Club. But it is a little bit incongruous to the rest of the livery, but it's there designed to stand out, I'm sure. And an instruction, I'm not quite sure. It's not the kind of thing you generally want people behind you to be doing, unless to believe that they can overtake you. I've seen lots of messages on rear wings and rear windows to rivals, and I don't tend to see positive messages like that. Here comes Crammy down the inside, just with a better run through the Église corner, and powering past our camera position. Really, really nice looking racetrack here, especially in the French sunshine. But clearly the windmills are indicative of a certain amount of wind that you can get in the region. Up at the front, Chaos is staying with Tango, not letting him get too far away. Cool Breeze has decided to pit after 12 laps. That could obviously mean a fairly large portion of the race still to go. Chaos has not given up here. He's got the outside line on Tango. He's got the ideal braking position and around completing the overtake through turn 1. That was very neat and tidy from Chaos. Confidence despite the fact that he's getting towards the end of his medium tyre productive life here. But a 37.9 for Tango and a 36.8 for Chaos. So Tango having an uncharacteristically slow lap that time round, but Chaos making the overtake when it mattered, and enjoying using the Michelin tyres here for his Lamborghini team. So Tango now in second place, as he was before, but of course we've had a pit stop from Cool Breeze, who's unfortunately for him found himself exiting the pits not far away from that pack of drivers who were struggling earlier on. Hard tyres have gone on to Cool Breeze. Cool Breeze has stayed ahead of his teammate, but Taffy Dog has gained a great deal of ground on his teammate, who was leading the race by a really healthy margin. Cool Breeze has brimmed the tank. He's feeling confident, I think, that he can get this car home to the finish on a full tank of fuel on brand new hard tyres, but the car is going to feel like a very, very different league that he's driving, because it is going to be obviously much heavier and much lower in grip, but the Porsche drivers have to cope with that. At this stage, Taffy Dog with just 75 litres of fuel versus Coolbrie's 100 litres of fuel after the pit stop, and Taffy Dog having used mediums at the start, and the mediums not able to run to the end. It's still a question mark for me whether the hards will make it to the end. We will wait and we will see how far Tango gets before he has to pit. It is lap 14 of the 40. As we run through, Tango has been unable really to answer Chaos's pace since Chaos made the overtake, and they'll head down towards Iglesi's corner, turn 6. Just looking at Tango taking a later apex. It's hard to take the apex through that Iglesi's corner. It is unsighted. Crammy completely on his own here at the moment. The wind picking up and just moving slightly towards the south. I don't think that's going to be enough to affect the drivers too badly. Tarmac Terror is on the hard tyres, just like his teammate. I think they've obviously coordinated pit stops and strategy today, which is good to see. I want to see Crammy versus Taffy Dog. Sorry, I want to see Coolbreeze versus Taffy Dog. So it is... let's see, as the Western Sydney Racing drivers are competing over the last big prize left in our championship. Of course, second position, Taffy Dog down into the inside. That was very, very neatly done, especially considering that he's been slower so far today than his teammate Coolbreeze. He needs to try and put cars between himself and his teammate if he's got a hope of making this one work. And there goes Tarmac Terror to the outside, helping himself to a little chunk of barrier into the exit of that snake section. Taffy Dog just on the new tyres, able to breeze his way by Shin, and Coolbreeze is going to do the same thing, I think now. Shin with the telltale sign of a controller driver trying to grip the controller and press the L3 button in too hard, and the lights are flashing going through the corner. Taffy Dog and Coolbreeze making their way by Shin and Tarmac Terror, who have yet to pit and are on their starting hard tyres. Where is Tango? How are his tyres looking? I mean, absolutely fine. So if he can get through to, I would estimate lap 24, lap 25, he will be able to one-stop this just the same. Chaos is doing great on his medium tyres here. He's taken it pretty easy, I think, on the medium tyres earlier on, and is now able to put in a 37.0. He put in a 36.8 on lap 12. So he's not feeling the car letting go on him too quickly here. I think he could be in a really good position later on. He seems to be getting faster rather than slower as he runs through this first driving stint. Tango out there on the hard tyres. Of course, the driver's using similar amounts of fuel. The Lamborghini slightly more economic than the Ferrari, but we're talking about pretty fine margins, and it's close enough for it to be a difference in driving style. Chaos ahead of Tango right now and going by and not using the pit lane. Crammy, I think, has hit the barrier very recently, and in the Mercedes you see the amount of fuel usage difference between the two manufacturers here. Fairly late call to go into the pits. I wonder if he's crossed the pit entry line there on the entry and going to be picking up a 5-second penalty, a 3-second penalty even. But then you see that Shin has pitted as well. Shin is running low on fuel, running low on hard tyres after 15 laps. So I do anticipate Shin also likely to be stopping this race now. And that's fairly early, I think, for a hard tyre starter. But she certainly hasn't been taking it easy, or had the race been easy around her either. Chaos leads Tango, and the gap actually opening, despite the fact that Chaos is on the more used tyre, softer compound. Front right and rear right taking a bit of a beating in these slightly longer blind exit corners that often result in you cranking on more steering lock in the second phase of the longer corner, because you don't really see the exit until you're on the way out, and you're often making a correction. Corners like this one, you can lean on that left side of the car neatly, and Chaos comes through to start lap 17 on his medium tyres. Very, very impressive so far. Taffy Dog, he's on his second set of tyres, his second set of mediums as well, in fact, as he comes through that penultimate corner. Cool Breeze looking a little bit sluggish, a little bit slow on the heavy fuel hard tyre phase for him, but of course this will result in a one-stop strategy, or at least for the bulk of the race he'll be on the hard tyres, and that's going to be hard in terms of motivation, as the Noticer and Aruthra are making passes at the moment. A lighter car for the Noticer, but on a similar set of hard tyres as Cool Breeze. Tarmac Terror just ran out of brakes on the way through turn 1, not for the first time today. Cool Breeze down to 6th now, but not for long, because the Noticer has failed to notice the corner. He's currently running through turn 4 and has ended up in the gravel once again. So it's Cool Breeze now back to 5th place. Hot favourite for the race earlier on, with the pace on the medium tyres ahead of his teammate, rubbing the Armco and the grass on the exit out of Igly's corner, and looking like he's having to push pretty hard to keep up and stay ahead of these Mercedes drivers, which is not going to be good for his fuel economy or his tyre economy later on. I notice it just drifting out wide slightly. He's on the hard tyres too. The majority of the field right now on the hard tyres. We've got Tarmac Terror running out of fuel at this stage. Let's compare him to Tango, who has used less fuel, so has clearly been able to short shift a bit more. No one has used as little fuel as Chaos though, and Chaos into lap 18 on the medium tyre. This is hugely impressive from Chaos, and I can see him. Oh dear, Chaos, I do apologise. Just saying how impressive you are. And there perhaps is the signal to him that the tyres are well past it, because Tarmac Terror pits off the hard tyre before Chaos has pitted off his mediums. So Chaos has found a way, or a setup, or a style of driving around Sardegna here that is able to abuse those tyres a lot less. I know Tarmac Terror has been locking up more into those corners as we come through on this lap 18. Looks like the sky is darkening a little bit. I don't know if that is sunset just yet here. I think it might be, but certainly there's a fair amount of cloud around on the circuit. You can see what Chaos received from his mirrors at the moment as we go through the snake. Beware the left-hander here, the dodgy exit. And yeah, certainly it seems to be clouding up and getting a bit misty. It might be getting a little bit dark as well. I'm sure that the sun is quite at its strength it was earlier on. We'll see if we head in towards the pit lane after this right-hander here. A little duck out of the throttle. He decides to decline the pit lane once again, despite going off on that lap. That is a big surprise to me. That was a 140.9. You know he's capable of mid 138s at this stage on the tyres, and Tango is closing in now. Don't want to run those slower laps, but of course Chaos is keen to not be on the hard tyre, or at least to minimise his time on that hard tyre. Taffy Dog clearing away here. You can see the pace difference at the moment. Taffy Dog 138.1, Cool Breeze, well, 138.1, so actually no pace difference whatsoever. But his average pace over the last few laps since the pit stop has obviously been higher than Cool Breeze's. Perhaps Cool Breeze finally getting those tyres into a good operating window. The temperatures will be dropping as the sun has gone in. That's not a help to the hard tyre runners at the moment. And all three of the cars on screen right now are running the hards in this second stint. Taffy Dog stealing a bit of a march here on Cool Breeze at this stage of the race, but we're expecting one more pit stop for Taffy, perhaps not for Cool Breeze. He needs to be keeping an eye on Chaos and Tango rather than be spending his time battling with the Mercedes pair here. Manages to make the overtake on the flat out section between Igly's corner and turn 9, and then Aruthra takes that straight back again. Can we go outside inside switch back with the Porsche? Heading straight towards the barrier. We did just tag the concrete barrier on the way through as we try to find a little bit of space on the racetrack. Losing time this whole phase of this 19th lap, just trying to get some ground away from the slightly ragged Mercedes AMG drivers. The two leaders have gone by the pit lane again. And you can see the Porsche really leaning on that left side, as you can do. There is damage on the front of the Barbie pink Porsche today, as the noticer clearly able to get a bit of a straight line advantage, as they will tiptoe around turn 1. Very easy to be pitched into a spin there. We're into the halfway period of the race, especially with the two leaders. Chaos ahead of Tango. Chaos has got his pace back again, 38.0, and must be pitting at the end of this lap by the look of the fuel. But I take my hat off to Chaos for driving a full starting tank of fuel on a set of medium tyres here in the sunshine for the most part, and going the full half distance of our 40-lap race on a single set of medium tyres. But this does look to be quite the handful, especially turning left, which you have to do. So I have to suggest he does pit right now, heading towards the final corner. There are some dark clouds overhead. I wonder if he's thinking, you know, it might be about to rain on us, and he drifts four-wheel drift into the pit lane. You're going to get style points for that one, as Tango comes in at the same time as well. His lap was a second slower still than Chaos. It's really good to have Chaos in the championship here, because someone to take it to Tango, who has been dominant. Let's see what Taffy can do, and especially Cool Breeze, who's got back ahead of the three Mercedes AMG drivers. Taffy Dog, I would expect to still be in front of Chaos and Tango, but doing the one stop here, the same as Cool Breeze. Let's see any drivers coming out of the pit lane. Well, Cool Breeze has managed to perform a great undercut on the drivers that he was racing with earlier, and is in a great position, as spinning out of turn 1 is a Ruthra. I think he got a little tag there from one of his Mercedes cars, as he then resets the track, I think, and is very slow away. So reset directly in front of Tarmac Terror, and then was pretty slow to take this one back. Yeah, I think the noticer picked up a 3-second penalty there, and that wasn't a pit lane infraction. I think that was contact with a Ruthra that race control have awarded. There you can see Chaos out of the pits on brand new medium tyres. So he's going to try and do this on 2 sets of mediums and completely shun the hard tyre, I think. Back onto the full tyres, full fuel again. Another 20 laps, another similar stint then for Chaos. His tyre economy was fantastic. There goes Tango down the inside as the noticer goes very wide going through. And once again, 2 corners on the trot, clearly struggling with that front of the car while he's got the damage on board. It is obviously a big handful. I mean, they're difficult cars to drive at the best of times, the Mercedes, and clearly it's no easier when you have damage on the front. It doesn't level things out. Maybe a bit of damage on the rear might, but they're very rear dominant cars, these Mercedes. Drivers sitting very far back to aid with weight distribution. So the bulk of the weight obviously between both axles. Down we go into turn 1, Aruthra on Tango. Tango being pretty careful here, but losing track of Chaos. Tango has gone, this is unusual for Tango, a second set of hard tyres. Astonishing there, really. So Tango, you can see how different the cars are in terms of their outright pace and characteristics. Just completely different strategies. Double hards for Tango. Double mediums for Chaos over these 20 laps, halves of the race. And now we've got a Ruthra making that Mercedes seem very wide, while Tango is on the low grip portion of his stint. I think Tango is going to have a real fight, and not just from Chaos today, but possibly from Cool Breeze as well. Taffy Dog is your leader. ahead of Coolbreeze, who was the first to stop and potentially be trying to one-stop this race. Although I don't know that the Porsche can go from a full tank more than half the race. Clearly the Ferrari and Lamborghini were marginal. So generally speaking, I believe that the Porsche is slightly harder on its fuel. So it's probably me talking my way out of Coolbreeze being on a one-stop. He's on the hard tyres right now. His teammate is definitely on a two-stop because he went medium, and the earliest pit stop was from Taffy Dog. If he's going to just do 10 laps, and make it a medium stint. Here comes Coolbreeze. This, of course, for second place in the championship at the end of our season, which we'll have one more round, which will contain a feature and a sprint, and that will be in Monza of all places. Funnily enough, the league that I both race and commentate 5 different divisions for are finishing their season in Monza as well. So it's obviously a strange coincidence there for me, but I'll be in Monza quite a bit over the course of the August race season. Down we go into Iglesi's corner. Taffy Dog boxed out slightly. Coolbreeze holding that inside line, and the hard tyres performing nicely right now for Coolbreeze, but I fear that the tyres are just not, the fuel is just not going to last for Coolbreeze, even if he turns the engine down at this stage. And they might start playing with fuel mixes. There's a lot of the race still to go. Lap 23 of 40. Chaos currently in third, and I think probably the favourite to win this race. His pace on average has been better than everybody else's. And now we've got Crammy sideways through the penultimate corner. We've got Tango a long way back from the battle for the podium right now, but within a pit stop of the lead 2, which is the important thing for our champion. Obviously wanting to continue to add stars to the side of the car. Get close up momentarily and see if it is, I think it's 6 on the car. I think that's right. But Tango just struggling to get away from the Mercedes drivers, who seem to operate in a kind of in a pack mentality quite often. Obviously quite equally skilled, and obviously the cars identical. Without a little bit of setup changes, the shadows are definitely growing. They've returned. So the sun has come out for a last little stint here, just to warm the track for us as we head into what will be the end of the day in Sim. Coolbreeze leads Taffy Dog and Chaos, and then this group of Crammy, Tango, Noticer and Aruthra down the inside of the Noticer as they head into this switchback S section. Tango has just got ahead here, takes an early turn to the left to stop the overtake coming, and there's going to be a bigger stop down into this penultimate corner with all the road signs. And Tango then through into 4th place, safely into 4th place right now, and just needing to nail this final corner, and he can start to breathe easier, knowing that he's got the gap on these 2 drivers with him, who have got a top speed advantage, no doubt in my mind. And there is Tango having to defend into a corner where drivers time and time again today have got it wrong and have brake too late into the barrier. Coolbreeze, Taffy Dog, Chaos, your top 3 with 15 laps left to go. The drivers running in the region of 1 minute 39 on average at this stage of the race. There is the Iglesi's corner once again, and the Noticer just getting a little bit too much oversteer into the corner and tagging the barrier, as Tarmac Terror runs in 8th place, and Shin at the back, who will be getting a little bit of the weak boost at the moment on the hard tyres. Shin doing a similar job here, trying to run a one-stop with 2 sets of hard tyres, I believe. No pun intended. Here is Cool Breeze, and his gap at the moment to Taffy Dog. No, to Chaos. Chaos has passed Taffy Dog in that last run. So Chaos with a good run out of the corner. Taffy Dog just taking the natural racing line, and well, Chaos finding a room to squeeze a Lamborghini into what has become a very dangerous corner throughout the course of our race. And in towards that penultimate corner now we go. Signpost corner, I think I'm going to call it, as we run out, and Chaos then comes through and into second place. He will go off in pursuit of Cool Breeze, just in case Cool Breeze is thinking of turning the engine down. Taffy Dog pits now. He'd run out of fuel, run out of tyres pretty much. Taffy Dog pitting, he'll be able to put exactly the right amount of fuel in then for the end of the race. And I think, given that he's gone just slightly less than lap 30, I think he will perhaps switch onto the hard tyres now to try and see this out on a one-stop pit stop in operation. Lots of fuel going in, of course, for him. Tango still hasn't been able to open the gap here too much to the Mercedes triplicate, and Shin finding her way through. Tarmac Terror pitting on the same lap as Taffy, who comes out of the pits and has indeed gone onto the hard tyres and has filled the car of fuel. So clearly, looking like 14 racing laps might be what the Porsche can do on a full tank of fuel. That's quite aggressive, really. 25 litres of fuel remaining on Cool Breeze's car or thereabouts, as Chaos is running to try and do this race on 2 sets of medium tyre. The drivers are not able to use the softs today. Only the mediums and hards are in allocation. Street circuit, a public road circuit like this one, high degradation, very little rubber on the racetrack, of course. There is a permanent section of this racetrack through turns 1, 2, 3, possibly into 4 as well. But obviously there's the minority of the race surface the drivers are operating on. You can see them rejoin those public roads. So let's take a lap on board with Chaos. Now we're on to those public roads again, I think. Turn 4. Well, the public roads do stretch to the left a little bit early. There, you can see them rejoin. Now we're onto those public road surfaces where you can see the line divided down the middle of the track. No one behind Chaos to worry him at all. The Mercedes drivers are in. Arutha and the Notice are in off the medium and hard tyres respectively. Refueling right now. And just shy of a full tank of fuel for Arutha. Cool Breeze is our leader as we run on this 27th lap. Great to see the celebration of Michelin, but covering his internal view out of the rear of the car. I don't think, well, this doesn't show precisely what he can see out of the rear of the car or lack thereof, but you would imagine not a lot, as once again the cloud cover has returned to the racetrack and the windmills continue to cycle. Unlike in the UK here, though, all of those windmills appear to be functioning. Quite often we have them turned off because they're overproducing for our very archaic national electricity grid system. It can't actually handle the amount of wind that we have to suffer in this in the UK. Shin in P5, Taffy Dog running in P6 after his second pit stop onto the hard tyres for the first time today. And where is Tango? Well, he's in P3, running a 37.9 that last lap. Chaos running a 36.5, his personal best. Arutha, who's been at the back of the grid for a few moments, has put in a 1:30.6. We can't really count fastest laps outright. We can compare lap to lap with the drivers. And Chaos at the moment really able to put in some tremendously strong laps on this medium tyre. 12 laps to go, plus the end of the one that they are on at the moment. Tango comes through out of Igle's corner. We have got Krammy just ahead of Shin, who is also looking good out there. I fear that Shin is going to have to pit again before the end of the race, looking at her fuel allotment. You're going to look at Tango and how much fuel he has got and compare it to the drivers who are likely to be two-stopping this race. There's a lot less fuel on board here for Krammy and for Shin. How soon do you plan to pit here? I would imagine with about 7 or 8 to go, based on the wear rates of the tyres for the Mercedes and the BMW, fairly similar for the two. As Shin comes through, Cool Breeze then pits from the lead of the race for the final time, for the second and final time I should say, and Chaos takes the lead as a result. Into the pits comes the Barbie pink and black Western Sydney Racing driver, who's looked strong, looked very quick today, but unfortunately looks like the strategy is not the way to go. I don't think that the strategy Chaos and Tango have utilised, the one-stop splitting the race completely and neatly in half, was available to the Porsches. I just don't think they have the fuel economy to make it. Western Sydney Racing have been tuning these Porsches throughout the course of the season, but unable to really do anything about that disadvantage that they are suffering. So I do think we perhaps need to think about adding some weight to the Ferrari, possibly the Lamborghini, to equalise the cars. BOP is on, and there are strengths and weaknesses, but when you have such a stark difference in fuel economy, it feels like it is making an unfair situation. And frankly, Chaos and Tango could do with being pegged back a little bit. I think, based on their outright pace, is pretty special. But that will be up to race control in the off-season. Krammy in P3. Of course, there are still plenty of places on the grid here for Project Racing. Racing Aussie times. I think, well, you'll have to just find a way into Project Racing's Discord to find your way to the grid. Hopefully, Taffy or some of the more established members can drop a link to the Discord in the comments section on the video. But they race Aussie times, Aussie evenings at the weekend, and I think obviously for Europeans that would be early mornings, the day before for the US drivers typically. So you have to utilise the Discord ability to share dates and times localised. But Tango ahead of Taffy Dog and Cool Breeze right now. Taffy Dog on his hard tyres, Cool Breeze on his mediums, and Cool Breeze. And there's Taffy just running wide. Unfortunately, that camera angle just robbing us of exactly what happened, but we've seen it time and time again throughout the course of the race. Just difficult to get the car to into the apex in turn 1, and then clearly into turn 4 as well for Tarmac Terror, who tags the barrier, picks up some damage there on the Redline Syndicate Racing's Ferrari. As we head down towards Igle's corner, the final quarter of our race begins. 10 to go. Here, Aruthra passing our camera position, giving us a sense of that Mercedes. I'll tell you what, I think, well, we did ride with Chaos earlier on, but we've got Shin here as well in the BMW, the only BMW on the grid, so it's very difficult to compare her pace with and race pace overall, strategy and stint length with anybody else, similar to the Lamborghini, I guess. As Krammy's right at the very back and has lost a huge amount of ground to our midfield battle, which comprises now Taffy, Tarmac, Aruthra and the Noticer, in that order here on lap 30. Let's see Tarmac Terror on board. You can get a tiny little look at the Mercedes behind in the video display and the left-hand mirror when the camera angle allows us. In fact, I think we've got a Mercedes attempting an overtake, not quite, on the inside there into turn 1. With this camera angle, this is close to what it feels like in VR. Gyro camera, you'd naturally tilt your head to look into the apexes, and then we're reacting, and we're getting a little bit late, and then we let 2 Mercedes through, unfortunately. And it was away before as the last of the Mercedes at the back of the grid, so Tarmac Terror can rebuild from here. Running the medium tyres with a little bit of damage after that contact with the barrier. That should find a way to drive around that soon enough. And then here come the Mercedes at the Noticer. A little bit of lag possibly on the Noticer's AMG. It's a great colour scheme, but I would like to see some more details, some more stickers. You can find some Webbo stickers if you like to put on the car. Just search for Webbo Red on the showcase and you'll be able to find stickers. Here comes a Ruthra down the inside of Taffy Dog. Left the door open somewhat there, Taffy. And on the hard tyres to the mediums as the cloud cover grows once again. We've got Tarmac Terror and the Noticer. This is great. This is great racing for these guys. Nice, close and difficult battles then. As Tarmac Terror picks himself back up out of 7th, back to 6th. And then it's the danger zone into turn 1 again. Tarmac Terror right down the inside, but it's definitely suboptimal. But Taffy playing it cool. He's now got 2 cars on the outside of him, Taffy here. Not quite sure what the black and the gold are representing today. So I'm being kind really to call that colour gold. I could think of some other words to describe it, but I won't right now. But Taffy looking to try and get a good result here today. I think it's fair to say that Sardegna and the preparation and the setup today just hasn't gone Taffy's way when it really needs to, and he's trying to secure 2nd position against Cool Breeze just across from the garage at Western City Racing. That was lucky to not wipe out a Ruthra. As around the outside runs Tarmac Terror. Now it's Taffy's turn at the back. Just in the course of this 30-second lap, Taffy has gone from essentially P4 through to P7, and then gets a little tag because Tarmac Terror's doing the same thing. It's just utter chaos here in the midfield at Project Racing. Chaos himself, though, leads the race ahead of Tango. Are they actually quite close together? No, they are definitely not. And Chaos on the medium tyres on his own here, putting in metronomic laps. 37's the last 5 consecutive laps. He's got a 36.5 out there as well. And Tango struggling to keep track of the same lap times. Cool Breeze is quicker, but of course he's made 2 pit stops to the drivers, certainly to Tango in front. He's quicker than at this stage. But back to this great battle. I think Shin and the Noticer probably hoping to get in on the action as well. Well, Crammy's come back. Sorry, it was Crammy who's come back from the very back of the grid, back to 7th, and Shin is here as well. Whoa, dear. Making us dodge out of the way with our camera position there, just as we cut to Shin. There's Taffy in P6. And another crunch in the barrier. Someone's gone right to the back. It's Tarmac Terror, unfortunately, of this group. Hopefully he'll get back onto it with the 7 laps we have left, the 7 complete laps we have left to run. Plenty still to play for here in the lower placings on the grid. Aruthra at the moment on the head of this pack in P4. But it really is anybody's from P4 through P9. Anyone can get the lead of this group. I'm not sure that they will feature on the podium at this stage, unless someone has to make a last-minute fuel stop at the front. I think the podium is settled between Chaos, Tango, and Cool Breeze, but in what order? I think we are still in question. It's quite possible that Cool Breeze has the pace over Tango today, despite the disadvantage in the Porsches to overcome the reigning and defending champion of the Tardis Cup here at Project Racing. Through turn 1 we go once again, and Crammy there in the 5th position in bright blue Mercedes AMG. Lots of drivers going for more muted tones this race. And that shows itself out when we get into the sunset portion. You can see the sun just dropping behind the mountains here in the Sardegna region. I think those are the Alpine Mountains, if I know my French geography well, and I don't. But Taffy alongside Crammy. Let's join Taffy on board in the Porsche, see if we can understand anything about the dynamics of the Porsche. Of course, the engine on the rear axle, the fuel tank just in front of the driver. See how it compares to the Mercedes. Whoa, dear me! It's avoiding trouble as the Noticer and Crammy get together. Those are coming off worse that time. Diving down the inside we go. On the 868, oh, tipped around from Shin. But I think that was less about Shin's fault as it was Crammy's unusual line through the corner, thanks to Taffy Dog making an overtake, essentially. Bit of a cluster situation for Crammy, who unfortunately has dropped down now, out of contention for the time being. Across the line, it is 6 laps to go. We'll just catch in with Cool Breeze. He can see Tango in front of him. He's running the mid-36s, Tango, 38, 37, very high 37. So I do fancy if Cool Breeze can continue this form here on the mediums, lowish on fuel, I think Cool Breeze can overcome Tango, but it will be right at the end of the race. Aruthra is in P4. Taffy has wrestled and struggled around to try and get back into contention for that P4. It's great to see Shin right here as well, with a big wiggle on Shin. She tries to navigate this tricky section of the Sardegna road track A. That was Taffy Dog going along into Eglise corner and allowing at least the Noticer to hope for getting that 5th place back. Crammy's into the barrier, is he? Or has he kept it out? It is, you know, into the barrier one corner, then it spits you into the barrier in the next corner as well. Porsche defending rather than attacking into signpost corner. And fortunately for Taffy Dog, Aruthra made a mistake going through signpost into the final corner now, and he makes another mistake with those cold tyres. Aruthra, he had damaged the car. It has upset the balance. He was not able to get the performance for a moment there as he sparks and shines his way through the start-finish straight down into turn 1. Taffy Dog ahead then of this group. Shin up to P5 from the very back of the grid. Taffy Dog suffering I think a penalty there, potentially. He tries to turn in, there's a Ferrari on his inside. Shin up as high as she's been so far of this race, not including pit stop sequences, but Shin into 4th place then, and she has run a very patient race. Right now she's as high as she's been. Can she hang on here and stay ahead of this the battling group of competitors? There is Tarmac Terror moving all over the tarmac to try and find an opening here, as the sun is definitely dropping. Down we go. Tarmac Terror terrorizing everybody, just about avoiding damage. The Noticer, unfortunately, with oversteer through Eglise corner, nerfs into the barrier, picks up damage. Tarmac Terror's also got damage at the moment as well. Aruthra's back into 4th. It's absolutely breathless here as Cool Breeze continues to catch Tango and Chaos continues to be on another level today. Into signpost we go, and it is Shin in P5. Wow, big tail slide from Tarmac Terror through there, but well held. I think no, it's not quite stylish enough. That was pretty good. Go on then, you can have it for the average of signpost in the final corner. Tarmac Terror can get a Webbo style point for that one. How on earth is Taffy Dog back to last position again? It is absolutely insane how many overtakes and retakes and places lost and regained we have in this Project Racing. I don't know any league like it, honestly. It's absolutely insane as Tarmac Terror comes through. Of course, fatigue, focus, Difficulties for the drivers over these long endurance events, averaging about an hour and 5 minutes overall for the feature races. So it's definitely a factor for everybody here, but the constant action is the bigger problem. I think the constant awareness of what everyone else is doing, worrying whether a Mercedes is about to go bowling into the next corner. And there's Tarmac Terror with a big slide. I don't think that was entirely solo into the left-hander. The mediums are wearing off, and well, we kind of put ourselves into that position. Shin was a little bit moving under the braking, but I'm not sure that Tarmac Terror really left himself enough time to brake for that corner, and ended up avoiding action and putting himself off the circuit as a result. Could have used Shin as a braking point, but chose not to, and that's a good thing, obviously. Just didn't work out particularly well for him. Taffy Dog, the Noticer, Crammy, all piling on in to Signpost Corner. As we come through, that's where the penalty. So I think Taffy Dog, rather than a penalty, I think he may have just missed a gear or something. Not got the slingshot out of the previous corner. Although slingshotting into the scenery goes Aruthra through there. It was a miscalculation for him. Was this an overtake attempt here on Shin, or is it possibly dirty air, or am I just making excuses for the drivers? But Aruthra right back down to P8 then as they come through. Let's check out. Oh, Coolbreeze has passed Tango. Insane. Was that Tango making a mistake here? Potentially. Well, Coolbreeze gave him some help into the corner, unfortunately, and I'm somewhat surprised that Coolbreeze doesn't want to give this place back to Tango after that. Coolbreeze would rather fight this out in the steward's room. He may be feeling, I mean, obviously it's an easy thing for a driver to claim, but he may feel that he was brake tested into the corner. But he's decided that second place is his, and he will take any penalty that might come his way. Whoa, the Noticer around once again, big slide, and through turn 5 this time. And we are in the very final stages of the race. I hope for Shin's sake she can survive this one and not finish last, but at the moment she's heading backwards down the order, down to 7th again for Shin. But someone will have an accident in a minute. There's no doubt in my mind that things are going to settle down at any point here at Project Racing. Down to the inside goes Taffy now, through Église, as the sun re-emerges once again. The weather has been very changeable today. Poor Aussies having to deal with clouds. That's just not right, is it? Every day should be set to Scorchio for our Aussie drivers here. Taffy once again down the inside, getting into the rear quarter of Aruthra. I would not be surprised to see Taffy. I think Taffy did slow there to allow Aruthra back, and why not go 6 wide through the next corner that is not quite flat out. Oh, the Aruthra and Crammy into the barrier then as they start their penultimate lap of the race. This is absolutely crazy. Look at these drivers coming down the finish straight. What league race have you witnessed where things are this close and this treacherous on the way into the final portion of the last 2 laps of the race? And Taffy Dog, unfortunately for him, coming off worse there as they approach, even just approach into the next corner. He goes to turn left, and actually, well, either there was a little bit of netcode there, or he lost it completely on his own in a very uncharacteristic spin. Down to last position then for him. Chaos is on his penultimate lap. He's nearly done. He's on his penultimate lap's final sector, and in fact, he has been absolutely unstoppable out here. Coolbreeze has put in a great performance. Not that last move notwithstanding. I didn't like that one, I have to say. That was muscular to the extreme, and I felt like he had the pace to be able to let Tango back by and make it happen clean next time. So we'll see what the stewards say post race. But right now it is the Noticer in 4th. Aruthra Shin trading 5th place. Here comes Crammy down the inside into Église. And Oh, the noticer has gone wide and put himself into the last position, and that is also then Shin being pinballed round. What a shame, as the drivers just deciding these positions. Everybody getting a Glee's corner wrong, and then Shin just slow through the corner, blind exit. Tarmac Terror, I think, gets into the side, into the rear portion of the BMW, and around we go once again. Final lap begins for Chaos. I will keep my eye on this. Cool Breeze has a good gap over third place Tango. I think this is how it's going to finish on the road, no question. Tarmac Terror very long on the brake pedal into signpost, and is deciding to see where those right-hand signposts are actually pointing off to, as Taffy Dog might just rescue fourth after all through here as they come to start their final lap of the race. The leader is half a lap away. Such is his dominance so far, and the top three's dominance. The fact is that these drivers have not had to fight with the lead three haven't spent a lot of their race fighting with this pack of wolves here in the midfield that have been just all over it today. And here we go, still heading into turn 4. 2, 3 abreast on the way through. Another driver who wants to throw away fourth place is it's Crammy's turn this time, as tagging each other, and again we go 3 wide into a Glees. How this couldn't possibly go wrong, could it? There's Crammy, I think, running out of tyres, still suffering that damage. Tarmac Terror looking at fourth place at the moment anyway on the grid, and Chaos has crossed the line. My apologies to Chaos. He is so far ahead of the pack that he comes through the final corner, and Chaos will win in Sardegna with a fully dominant performance. Nice little slide at the end there. Chaos taking home P1 in the feature race for the first time, I believe, here in the championship. And then we have Cool Breeze in second. I'm going to put a little asterisk next to Cool Breeze's name, but a great performance with one move's exception that I've seen. So I have to say, really, really strong from Cool Breeze. Tango across the line in third, and then place your bets now as to how this is going to finish up. Once again here at Project Racing, it is absolutely anybody's. Towards the end of the race, Shin, Aruthra, and Crammy all go complete nosediving into the next corner. Absolutely shocking. Check this out as they come through. Shin, this is in towards that treacherous end of the S section in the racetrack. Bang, bang, and bang. And the 3 drivers through. Tarmac Terror looks like it's going to come home as he comes through signpost. And there goes the noticer, throwing away a potential 5th place into the barrier. We go once again, causing absolute chaos through here. But Tarmac Terror in the Ferrari secures an amazing 4th place in the end. Battered and bruised comes home Taffy in 5th, and that then sees Crammy, Shin and Aruthra in P6, 7 and 8. The noticer will limp home in 9th place. My driver of the day is going to go by way of, I think, Tarmac Terror in the... Sorry, Tarmac Terror, I'm going to take that back off you. Because I'm actually going to give it to Cool Breeze, but we will see if he holds on to that 2nd position overall. Just as a point, a standard point, I don't give it to the winner because I feel like they've taken home enough from a race. So I have to. I do think performance of the day was outstanding, was Chaos, but the driver of the day for me, was Cool Breeze in the end. Just one little move that we'll see if the stewards let stand. Thanks everybody. I really appreciate the support here on the channel. If you can press all the buttons below, there's a merch link. There's a referral link as well to a haptic feedback seat system that I have tried. There's a video about that on my channel as well. But if you wouldn't mind clicking the affiliate link, just clicking it through, have a little look. That really just helps me no end. So thank you so much for all the support so far this season from us here at Project Racing. From me, Webbo. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We will catch you on the next race day.